My child, don't skip this, because what you are about to hear may feel strangely familiar. There is a reason these words found you today. Sometimes a message doesn't arrive by accident. It arrives exactly when a heart is ready to receive it. Listen carefully. For a long time, someone has been trying to find a way back to you. Not because they suddenly remembered your name, but because they never truly forgot it. Every attempt to move on only reminded them of the place you still hold inside their heart. They laughed in front of others, smiled in photographs, and pretended life was finally becoming normal. But deep inside, there was always one unanswered question. What if I never stopped loving the right person? Recently, something unexpected happened. A small moment, almost impossible to notice, completely changed their heart. It wasn't a dramatic event. It wasn't a miracle. It was a quiet reminder that arrived when they least expected it. A familiar song. A forgotten place. A conversation that sounded exactly like something you once said. Suddenly, every memory they had buried came rushing back at once. Since that day, your soulmate has been searching for a way to reach you. They wanted to send a message, but fear stopped them. They wanted to make a phone call, but they couldn't find the courage. They wrote words they never sent. They deleted messages before pressing the send button. They even imagined what your voice would sound like if you answered after all this time. Don't skip, because this part matters. There are people around them who still don't understand why your name carries so much weight inside their heart. They keep asking them to forget the past, to accept another future, to stop looking backward. But every time they try, something quietly reminds them that unfinished stories don't disappear. They simply wait for the right chapter to continue. In the last few days, they have been feeling something impossible to explain. It's as if life keeps placing signs directly in front of them. Random conversations suddenly mention your situation. A stranger speaks words that sound like advice meant only for them. Even their dreams have started bringing back moments they believed were gone forever. They wake up with the same feeling every morning. I need to find them before it's too late. The truth is, they are afraid. Not afraid of speaking to you. They are afraid that you may no longer believe them. They worry that too much time has passed. That too many misunderstandings have built walls between both hearts. And that when they finally reach you, you might decide not to listen at all. Yet something inside refuses to let them give up. Every single day, they silently hope that somehow, this message reaches you before another opportunity slips away. Because they believe one honest conversation could change everything that has remained broken for so long. And right now, while you are listening to these words, your soulmate is carrying one question inside their heart. If I finally find them again, will they give me one chance to explain everything? That question has remained unanswered for far too long. The silence between both of you did not happen overnight. It was built little by little. Through misunderstandings that nobody bothered to clear, through words that were never spoken, and through decisions made by people who never truly understood what existed between your hearts. Your soulmate has replayed those moments thousands of times, wondering if everything could have been different had they chosen courage instead of fear. Don't skip. Because the next part changes everything. A few nights ago, they found something they believed had disappeared forever. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't extraordinary. But it carried a memory so powerful that it stopped them in their tracks. As soon as they held it in their hands, every promise, every smile, every dream you once shared returned with incredible clarity. They sat there for a long time without saying a single word, realizing they had spent all these years trying to forget someone their heart had never released. That same evening, they almost reached out to you. Their phone was in their hand. Your name was on their mind. They even imagined the very first sentence they wanted to say. They wanted to apologize for every moment of silence. They wanted to explain that distance never erased their feelings. But just before taking that final step, doubt whispered into their heart. What if they have already moved on? What if they don't want to hear from me anymore? Those questions were enough to make them put the phone down once again. Since then, they have been living with a constant battle inside themselves. One side tells them to stay silent forever. The other side keeps reminding them that losing you without even trying would become the biggest regret of their life. Every day that passes makes that feeling stronger. Strangely, people close to them have started noticing the change. They ask why they suddenly seem distracted. Why they stare out of windows for so long. Why they smile for no reason. Only to become emotional a few moments later. Nobody knows that every quiet moment is filled with thoughts of you. There is something they have never admitted to anyone. They compare every new person they meet to you. No matter how kind someone appears. No matter how perfect everything seems. Something always feels incomplete. Deep inside, they already know why. Because their heart stopped searching the day it chose you. Everything after that has only been an attempt to replace something that could never truly be replaced. Don't skip. Because this may be the most important truth of all. Your soulmate has finally realized that time does not heal every wound. Sometimes time simply teaches us the value of what we lost. And the longer they stayed away from you, the more they understood that some connections cannot be erased by distance, pride, or silence. Now they have made a quiet promise to themselves. Before this chapter of life closes forever, they will try one last time to reach you. They don't know how. They don't know when. But they know they cannot keep living with unanswered questions. They would rather hear the truth from you than spend the rest of their life wondering what could have been. What they don't realize is that someone else has already discovered the secret they have been hiding. And that unexpected person is about to change everything. The person who uncovered the secret never intended to become part of this story. It happened by pure chance. During an ordinary conversation, they noticed something unusual. Every time your name was mentioned, your soulmate's expression changed. Their eyes, which had seemed distant only moments before, suddenly filled with emotion they could no longer hide. Don't skip. Because from this moment, everything begins to shift. At first, that person said nothing. They simply watched. But over the following days, they noticed the same pattern again and again. Whenever someone suggested moving on, your soulmate became unusually quiet. Whenever people talked about starting a new chapter with someone else, they smiled politely, but their heart clearly wasn't there. Finally, one evening, they asked a simple question. If you had one last chance to speak to the person you truly loved, what would you say? For several long seconds, your soulmate couldn't answer. They looked down, took a deep breath, and whispered something they had never admitted out loud before. I would tell them. I never stopped looking for them inside my heart. The room fell silent. No one expected those words. No one expected so much emotion to be hidden behind someone who had spent so long pretending to be strong. That conversation changed everything. The person listening realized this wasn't just old nostalgia. It wasn't a passing emotion. It was unfinished love. Still waiting for the courage to speak. Don't skip. Because the next decision was completely unexpected. Instead of encouraging your soulmate to forget the past, they gave different advice. If your heart still carries the same name, stop running from it. You'll never find peace by hiding from the truth. Those words stayed with your soulmate all night. They couldn't sleep. Every memory returned more vividly than ever before. The first conversation. The promises. The dreams. Even the painful goodbye. For the first time, they stopped blaming circumstances and started blaming the silence they had chosen. By sunrise, they had reached one life-changing decision. No matter what happened. No matter how much time had passed. No matter how uncertain the future looked. They would no longer allow fear to decide their life. They picked up their phone once again. This time, they didn't hesitate. Their hands were still shaking. Their heart was racing. But they were finally ready to send the message they had carried inside for so long. Then, just 1 second before pressing send, a shocking notification appeared on the screen. The message they were about to send suddenly no longer seemed to be the biggest surprise. Because someone had already taken the first step. And what they saw next left them completely speechless. For a few frozen seconds, your soulmate simply stared at the screen. The message they had been preparing for so long suddenly didn't matter anymore. Because the notification that appeared carried words they never expected to see. It wasn't from a stranger. It wasn't from a family member. It wasn't from anyone trying to interfere. It was a message connected to you. Don't skip. Because this moment changed the direction of everything. Their hearts started beating faster than ever before. Their hands trembled as they slowly opened the notification, afraid that if they looked too quickly, the moment might disappear. They had imagined hearing about you 1,000 different ways. But never like this. The message didn't reveal everything. It only contained a few simple words. Enough to make them stop breathing for a moment. Enough to remind them that destiny sometimes speaks quietly instead of loudly. Those few words made one thing painfully clear. You had never completely disappeared from their story. For the first time in years, hope replaced regret. Every excuse they had been hiding behind suddenly lost its power. The fear of rejection was still there. But another feeling became much stronger. The fear of losing one final opportunity. They closed their eyes and whispered to themselves, "If I stay silent today, I may stay silent forever." That sentence echoed through their heart again and again. Don't skip. Because someone unexpected walked into the room at that exact moment. A close family member noticed the tears in their eyes. Instead of asking questions, they quietly sat beside them. After a long silence, they spoke words your soulmate never thought they would hear. You've spent years pretending you're happy. But your eyes have always told a different story. Your soulmate couldn't deny it anymore. For the first time, they admitted everything. They confessed that no matter how many new beginnings life had offered, no one had ever taken your place. They admitted that every important decision had been influenced by memories of you. They admitted that they still wondered whether fate would ever give both of you one last chance. The family member listened without interrupting. When the confession ended, they smiled gently and said, "Then stop waiting for life to make the first move. Some prayers are answered only after someone is brave enough to take the first step." Those words broke the final wall inside your soulmate's heart. They picked up the phone once again. This time, there were no second thoughts. No fear. No excuses. Their fingers moved toward the screen. The message was completely written. Only one button remained. Send. But just as they were about to press it, the phone suddenly rang. It wasn't an unknown number. It wasn't someone from work. The name that appeared on the screen was someone connected to your past. And the first sentence they heard made them realize a hidden truth about your story had been kept secret for years. My child. The phone continued to ring. For a brief moment, your soulmate thought about ignoring the call. After everything they had just decided, nothing seemed more important than finally sending that message to you. But something deep inside whispered, "Answer it." They took a slow breath and accepted the call. The voice on the other end spoke calmly, but every word carried unexpected weight. There is something you deserve to know. And it should have been told to you years ago. Your soulmate stood completely still. Their heart began racing as they listened. The caller revealed that many of the misunderstandings which had separated both of you had never been caused by either of you. Assumptions had replaced conversations. Silence had replaced honesty. Small truths had been hidden until they became impossible to recognize. What both of you believed for years was never the complete story. At that moment, everything finally made sense. Every unanswered question. Every painful goodbye. Every night spent wondering why everything had fallen apart. The pieces of the puzzle slowly came together. Don't skip. Because this is the most important moment of all. Instead of feeling anger, your soulmate felt something they hadn't experienced in a very long time. Peace. For the first time, they stopped blaming themselves. They stopped blaming you. They realized that life had not been trying to punish them. It had simply been waiting for the truth to find its way into the light. With tears in their eyes, they looked once more at the message they had written for you. This time, they didn't erase it. They didn't rewrite it. They didn't hesitate. They pressed send. Not because they expected everything to return to the way it once was, but because they finally understood that honest words are never wasted. Whether they bring reconciliation, forgiveness, or simply closure, truth always deserves to be spoken. In that single moment, the heavy burden they had carried for so many years began to disappear. Their heart no longer carried regret. It carried hope. Hope that two people connected by sincerity can always find peace, even after the longest silence. And perhaps that is the real message hidden inside this story. Sometimes life gives us one final opportunity, not to rewrite the past, but to face it with honesty. If that opportunity ever arrives, don't let fear answer in your place. Let courage speak. Because the greatest love stories are not the ones without mistakes. They are the ones where someone finally chooses truth over silence. And that choice can change everything.